All right, what is the better Magnum, the 44 Magnum or the 357 Magnum? Both have plenty of power. And today what I'm going to test is some Underwood light for caliber. We have the 44 Mag 180 grain and the 357 Magnum 125 grain. Both are rated at 1700 feet per second. So as you might notice, I got some pumpkins here. Those are full of water. We're going to shoot those guys to see what we get. But before that, we're going to do our standard ballistic test. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. We're going to go through our clear ballistics, our 10% clear ballistics. So we have 4 layers of denim, followed by about 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent our pectoral muscle, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent like ribs or sternum, and to more clear ballistics. Typically this takes away about 2 inches of clear ballistics penetration, but that all matters if the bullets expand exactly the same, which they really do. But typically in a perfect world, this will take away about 2 inches and give us a real world ribs or sternum simulation hit. So we're going to see which caliber does better in our ballistics gel, and then we'll shoot from a little bit of distance at my full size steel silhouette, and we'll see what kind of accuracy we get. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up we have our 357 Magnum 125 grain jacket hollow point. Let's see what we get with this. 1410, 1462, 1421, 1473. One more shot, missed that read. 1528. So not very consistent. I mean, it was relatively consistent, but we had a couple numbers that were quite high for some reason. But we're at full power for sure. Let's see how our 44 does. All right, 44 Mag. I'm gonna go single action on this just because, you know, a lot of times I grip this thing so tight that when I do double action, I'll pull my shots one way or the other because I'm gripping a little bit too tight. Single action seems to kind of help me with that. So let's see what we get this 44 Mag. 1339. 1407. 1416, 1392, 1354. So overall, not too bad. Not as consistent as what I would like, but the recoil is definitely lower than a normal 240 grain because it's a 180 grain. So let's hit our ballistics gel block and see what we get. All right, first up we have our 357 Magnum through our medium density fiberboard shot. Let's see what this will do. So here's our impact through our MDF. It usually represents modest expansion. And what we're looking at here though, we're looking at about 18 and a half total, which would typically be about 20 and a half without the MDF. And we'll put that to the test right now. We'll shoot it without it because, you know, not to figure out the equation, but to see a gut shot, you know, without a hard barrier, what this will do. So let's see what it does without the MDF. All right, no MDF. Let's see what this will do. So I was kind of expecting that, to be honest, that we have a little bit different penetration. Basically it's the same. It's exactly the same. But sometimes I see that with bullets of this design where they don't really want to open up in this amount of distance. They're opening up more like, you know, 6 inches or so. So if I were to put the MDF 6 inches in, it would be fully expanded. But the one with the MDF, because it's so shallow in, it didn't. So that's kind of why we see that little bit of a difference there. And, you know, we have really good expansion without the MDF, but not as big with the MDF. So let's move on to our 44 and see how that does. All right, 44 Magnum through our MDF. Let's see what this will do. I might have this block leave the shelf here. Almost. Here is our MDF, and it actually kind of split the lamination of this in half, and that definitely does kind of suggest expansion right away, which we would definitely want to have for something this powerful. But what we're looking at here is that just barely touched the second block here. We're at about 19 and a half, which would typically indicate 21 and a half, which isn't extreme over penetration, but it's definitely over penetration. Let's try our quote-unquote gut shot and see how that does. All right, our gut shot, no MDF. Let's see how this does. Lining this back up again. Yeah, so what were we here, 19 and a half? We're actually at about 20 and a half rather than 21 and a half. However, our expansion does look a lot bigger. Looks really good. So, you know, what I could say though is when we look at this gel block, both have a little bit over penetration, not by a significant amount, but a little bit, but that's consistent. It's consistent throughout all the shots here, so I'll give it that. Let's shoot off a little bit of distance and see how these will do. All right, I'm just going to do some double action at 25 yards. You know, a lot of people don't like to see me shoot handguns further away because they say, well, it's not practical, and you know, I suppose they would be right in a lot of sense. So 25 yards, we'll just see if I can hit this target at 25 yards, double action, 357. All right, let's move on to the 44. All right, I'm told you can't land a follow-up shot with 44 mag because there's too much recoil. So let's see if I can get a follow-up shot at least. Yeah, looks possible to me. Let's shoot our pumpkins and see what kind of damage it'll do to those. All right, 357 Magnum pumpkin. Let's try to finish that off. Let's try 44. All right, 44 Magnum. So that's what you get today. What's the better Magnum, 357 or 44? And really, I guess it's personal preference. Now, a lot of people say that the 44 Magnum is awful. It overpenetrates, too much recoil, you can't get follow-up shots. But really what they're talking about is like 240 grain bullets and beyond, or soft point bullets. When you pick a 180 grain bullet, you have a lot more control, a lot less penetration, and you have a cartridge that is pretty much like a 357 Magnum. You know, our performance is similar to 158 grain, except, you know, probably even better expansion. So it does quite well, but the recoil is quite high. It's definitely more than a 357, the Magnum, but, you know, probably only 40–50% more. So take it for what it is. It is a lot, but if you get the right gun and the right grip, it's okay. But overall, 357 does just as well, and it's more versatile. So that's what you get today, 44 versus 357 Magnum. You be the judge what the better Magnum is. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.